My name is Father Patrick Broussard. I'm a priest of the Diocese of Lafayette. I was born and raised right here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Went to public school my whole life, graduated from Lafayette High. And then after graduation from high school, came to the University of Louisiana and studied civil engineer for 4.5 years before I eventually went to the seminary. I think that my life growing up was a very normal life. I grew up, thankfully, with my mom and dad, both married, and had 2 older siblings. My brother is the oldest. He's 5 years older than me, and I have a sister who's 2 years older than me. And growing up, I think we had a pretty normal childhood. Went to Mass every Sunday. Never remember missing Mass. I might have slept during Mass, but we always went. And they made sure to send us to catechism classes during the week because we didn't go to Catholic school. Grace before meals, various things like that. And, you know, had friends from school, sleepovers, sports, all the normal things that a child does. So in a lot of ways, it was a very, very normal childhood. So I first felt called to the priesthood. It's kind of a lengthy story, but the real turning point, I think, was when I was a junior in high school. So I wasn't really involved in my faith as a kid, even though we had to go to Mass, we had to go to catechism. I didn't really care about it. And had a conversion experience as a freshman a little later on in high school. Got into a lot of trouble my freshman year and wasn't able to do anything that summer. My parents grounded me the whole summer. Had 5 seconds to talk on the phone if someone called to tell them I couldn't talk on the phone. I went to church a lot because I got out of the house doing that. And seeing the college people who were leading the youth group program at that time started to get me into my faith and make me wonder why they were weird and liked being at church. And so I started to listen to what they were saying and started to get into my faith. And then when I was a junior in high school, so about a year and a half after that, junior in high school, the guy who was leading the youth group left to go to seminary. And that really opened up my mind to the reality that real people become priests. Before that, it was just the old guy up on the altar who I didn't care about where he came from. I didn't think about the fact that he was just a regular guy at one point and made that decision. So that opened my mind up to that reality. And then really when I started college here at UL, I started thinking about, well, maybe God's calling me to do this. But it wasn't incredibly strong, and it was very, very back and forth, right? One day I would be walking down campus and think I was called to marriage, and I would say, oh, well, that cute girl over there, right, is the one. And then the next week maybe I was looking at the curriculum for the seminary online to see what I would have to take if I went to seminary. So it was very back and forth. And then really about junior year of college, junior year of college, Easter Sunday, I was sitting in the choir loft at the cathedral, and priest wasn't preaching on vocations, but just felt that call again to consider it, and it wouldn't go away after that. And so that last year and a half of college, I really prayed a lot about that, talked to a lot of priests and friends and family, and eventually made that decision to go to seminary when I finished here. My family's reaction to my decision. So when I told my family, they had known for quite a while that I was thinking about it. You know, I was going to Mass every day, and I was going on retreats, and so they knew I was into my faith. And I'd even talked a little bit about, the possibility of being a priest and feeling like maybe God was calling me to that. And, I might not have told her directly, but a mom knows everything. And so, my mom knew that I was thinking about it, and that there was something in me that was not really happy, right? I was searching and unsettled just being in college and doing the regular thing. And so I told my sister first, because we had gotten really close, and was able to judge the rest of my family's reaction off of the way she reacted, and she was very positive. And all of my family was. I come from on my mom's side, she was one of 8, and my grandparents went to daily Mass and volunteered at the parish, and we would always go there for holidays. We would have a birthday cake for Jesus on Christmas Day and, sing happy birthday to Jesus. So a very religious family. And so, especially my grandparents, when I told them, they were, so excited and said, I prayed for one of my kids to be religious or a priest, but, now one of my grandkids is. So overall, very supportive. Any lack of support that I got, I wouldn't even say a lack of support, but just a questioning. I studied civil engineering, and my plan was to go to graduate school to teach at the college level because I had some professors that really inspired me. And so, there was questions, well, what about grad school? And I even had the great opportunity. I got accepted to Texas A&M for structural engineering, and they were going to pay me to go. And so, there's a lot of questions about, well, what about that scholarship that you got? And, when I explained that I just feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, then they understood, or they at least accepted it and supported me as they could then, and now they are so happy that I'm a priest and happy that I'm close to home and just excited to see the things that the Lord is doing through me as a priest. I was ordained on June 21st, 2014, and I was 29 years old. I was a little, not old, I was a little older than someone who goes right out of high school. If you go right out of high school, you're ordained about 25 or 26, but because I did the university studies first, it extended my time a little bit, but 29 years old and so happy to have made that decision. So yeah, a lot of my faith has been tied to Our Lady of Wisdom. So growing in my faith as a college student, coming to the Student Center here, I honestly can't remember what sort of put it in my mind to seek this place out when I came to college, but I just remember that I made it a point that I was going to, as best I could, schedule my classes around noon Mass. And so I'd come to noon Mass, I would hang out in the coffee shop and study and do my homework and maybe clown around and goof off a little bit here during college, and then left straight from here to go to seminary. So to come back straight from being ordained a priest right back to wisdom as associate was amazing. To be able to give back to a place that had given me so much was great. And then took a little tour of other assignments, and then coming back as pastor has been absolutely phenomenal. Again, to just sort of remember what God did for me here as a student, as an associate pastor, to see the amazing things that have been happening from afar. First, when I was in seminary, to see the rise of Raging Cajun Catholics and the excitement that surrounds this place because of the faith, and then to be plugged in as an associate, and then to leave and see the excitement again from afar, and to come back in and be plugged in as pastor now is great. A couple of little things that always sort of fill me with joy and remind me of the good things is my first assignment when I was associate, the office that I had was the deacon's office. He wasn't a deacon then, but he is now. That was his office as campus minister when I was a student here, and he spiritually directed me in that office. And so then to be able to take it and direct people there. And now that I'm back as pastor, I have the big office, right? And so remembering that I came and spoke to Father Chester in that office about the possibility of being a priest. And now people come and talk to me about the possibility of becoming a priest or a sister, or just with their regular everyday crises or concerns or joys that they come and bring to me is great to be able to return what the Lord has given to me. The challenges of being a pastor on a college campus, maybe the biggest one for me personally is the schedule. I'm generally, I can't stay up very late, and I like to wake up early, but that has to shift a little bit. So the reality of people being here all the time maybe falls into both categories, right? Challenges and rewards. It's challenging because it's constantly demanding, but it's also very rewarding because you get to see your parishioners all the time. Usually in parishes, you have to go out and search for people and invite them to stuff, and we have to do that here too, but on a daily basis, I have access to 100 core group of students that come here every day. I don't know how many people pass through the door every day. I think it's 1,000 a week. But on a daily basis, to be able to cultivate that relationship with them and allow them to see me in all kinds of different ways, right? Doing my priestly ministry, saying Mass and hearing confessions, but to see me walking around the cafe and sharing a cup of coffee and making jokes and, asking them about their day and how their test went, and just all of those regular interactions that makes them hopefully more comfortable with me as a priest, so that when they do have those crises moments, if they are thinking about being a priest or religious, that they feel comfortable coming to me or the associate and sharing those with us and receiving whatever kind of counsel we may give. So the challenges is extremely demanding. The rewards is that it's extremely rewarding. So totally worth it. So I love being a priest. In fact, whenever I was made Vocation director about 4 years ago, I'm no longer in that work, but people were saying, "Oh, you're the perfect fit for this," and that's very uncomfortable, right, to hear. You're perfect for this. But as I thought about it, I said, I don't know if I'm perfect, but I do think I'm a pretty good choice. Not because of any gifts I have in particular, but because I just love being a priest. And I think seeing joyful priests invites other people to consider it, whether they're called to be priests or just to be good, faithful lay people, right? To see that we can live the faith and be joyful. Actually, we're the most joyful if we live the faith well. So to share that joy of the priesthood with people is one of my favorite things. I love to hear confessions, love to say Mass, love to baptize. Baptism fascinates me, all the sacraments, but baptism for some reason has a little hold on me. There's a person who has no divine life in them, and then through pouring of water and saying, "I baptize you in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit," God comes to dwell in that person's soul. And he does that through me. That's incredible. And so, just doing the things a priest does is what I enjoy to do. I love hearing confessions. I love preaching about confessions and telling people they need to go. But if I'm going to tell them they need to go, I need to be in the box and hearing the confessions, right? So I love to hear confessions, receive the burdens that they're coming to unload, and then take them to the altar in Mass and offer that to God and allow Him, right, to do the healing. He's the divine physician, not me. He just chose me for some reason to be that instrument to be able to dispense the grace that He wants to give. Where do I see myself as a priest 20 years from now? So I was assigned here for 6 years, and I'm about 3 or 4 months in, so I'll be here hopefully at least another 6. After that, maybe another 6. 20 years, who knows? Hopefully I'm still just a parish priest, right? I love being a priest. I was in Church Point before I came here. I think I'd been to Church Point once before I got assigned there, but I couldn't imagine being that happy. The people were just so wonderful, and that's throughout our diocese. The people are great. They love their priests. They're very appreciative of us as priests, more than we deserve. And so just being a regular parish priest, doing the things that priests do, hearing confessions, Mass, teaching the faith. I really love teaching the faith. I think that for a while, over the past 50 or 60 years, we got away from teaching the faith in a lot of ways. And so we're seeing the pendulum swing back with John Paul II, with Pope Benedict, with Pope Francis, really seeing the learning of the faith, right? Knowing the faith well. Bishop Barron, right, is big about this. Teaching the truths of the faith, not watering them down, and allowing people to understand the richness of our faith. So I love doing that. When I was in Church Point, I had a weekly ongoing catechism class. Just show up on Tuesday nights and I'm going to talk about something. So I talked about the sacraments, I talked about the virtues, I talked about just all kinds of things that that we as Catholics need to know. And the more we know, the more we're able to love. And so that's where I see myself in 20 years, continuing to do the work of a priest. So my advice to anyone who is considering a call to the priesthood or the religious life, first of all, would be to pray, right? Pray, asking God that very difficult question, what is it that you want from me? That's a hard prayer to pray, because if we ask God what He wants of us, He's going to tell us. And sometimes the answer is not going to be what we want to hear. When I first started hearing that possibility of the priestly vocation, that call, I was not very happy. Right? I was in college. When it got stronger, I was towards the end of my college. I was finishing up my degree in engineering, which was not very easy for me. I had the idea that I would get married, and my mom is one of 8 kids, and I just loved the big family, so I wanted all kinds of kids. In fact, I would tell my friends in college to say, if a girl doesn't want 10 kids, we don't even need to talk, right? I wanted a big family. And so ask that question and be prepared to hear a difficult response, but stay in prayer, right? Continue to ask God to give you the grace to be able to do what it is He's calling you to do. Another thing I would say is to trust that God is enough, to trust that He can make us joyful and that He's the only thing that can make us joyful, right? Again, John Paul II and Benedict were huge on this of opening wide the doors to Christ. John Paul said in his first homily, right, when he was inaugurated as Pope, open wide the doors to Christ, because He doesn't take anything away. In fact, He gives you everything. And so if we really want to be happy, we ask, what do you want me to do? And we do it. And it brings joy, even in the midst of trials. If we say yes to Christ, it's going to lead us to the cross, right? And so in the midst of crucifixion, in the midst of the struggles and the persecutions and the difficulties, the confusion, the loneliness, even in the midst of all of that, there's still joy if we're doing what it is that the Lord has asked us to do. So pray, trust that He's enough, and do it ultimately.